Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Corn Belt Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. The jet stream on Tuesday morning still demonstrating this pattern with a trough in the west, a ridge in the east, keeping us very warm across the Corn Belt. Here is Umberto going to make its way off to the north and east. Not going to be a problem here for the east coast, but very warm across the midsection of the country. And over the next 5 days, the core of that warmth is going to be situated right here from the northern plains into the central plains and parts of the upper Midwest. And even as we head into the 6 to 10 day time frame, September 22nd through the 26th, still looking at unseasonably warm conditions here, although we will have moderate some as we head into the 6 to 10 day time frames. Sorry here. Over the next week, we're looking at precipitation to be focused here from the northern plains into parts of the central Corn Belt here. Maybe looking at some significant precipitation across parts of Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois as we head into the weekend. Looking at the week 2 time frame, keeping things fairly active here across the Corn Belt as we look at a progressive pattern with several storm systems expected to track from the central plains into the upper Midwest, and that could keep things very active here again across the midsection of the Corn Belt, even into the 2-week time frame. Now, the last 24 hours of precipitation have been quite quiet. We saw a cluster of storms here across parts of eastern South Dakota, even one severe report there, one report of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts there in northeastern South Dakota, but a quiet last 24 hours across the Corn Belt. We check in with the satellite picture. Here is Umberto again, going to make its way off to the north into the east. Here are the cloud tops from those thunderstorms across parts of the Dakotas. And we've got an area of low pressure across the Texas coast here that's slowly going to make its way off to the north as well, but really a mostly quiet picture as we wake up on Tuesday morning across the Corn Belt. Looking at the radar, here is the area of showers and storms making their way into Minnesota now. Area of low pressure across the Texas coast, but again across the Corn Belt, really waking up to a quite beautiful morning here on Tuesday. The frontal picture here Tuesday morning, once again, watching an area of low pressure off to the west beginning to develop. As we head into the picture here on Wednesday, we'll watch this area of low pressure off to the north across parts of Saskatchewan. The northern plains begin to occlude and kind of drag a front across the region. We'll be watching for an area of low pressure, though, to kind of reorganize across the central plains as this front stalls out in this region. And that's what's going to keep things perhaps active across this area even as we head into the weekend. It's going to be this frontal boundary here kind of stalling out off to the south. Looking at the next 3 days, not talking about any significant severe weather as we look at the forecast here Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's put that back on there. Tuesday and Thursday, maybe a low risk of a strong storm or two across the northern plains, but otherwise not talking about any significant severe weather with this one. Looking at the simulated radar picture here from the high-resolution NAM model, this will take us into Thursday afternoon. We'll watch Umberto make its way out of the picture and exit stage right, and then over the next couple of days, we'll watch for a couple of rounds of showers and storms across parts of the central plains into the upper Midwest as this frontal boundary starts to make its way in. So let's go ahead, we'll hit play. We will bring it back to Tuesday morning here and get us going through the day on Tuesday. So this area of showers and storms makes its way off to the north and east before weakening as we head into the midday on Tuesday. And then as we head into the afternoon, watching things destabilize off across the west, maybe watching for some showers and storms developing across the western portions of the Dakotas. Really going to be watching more across eastern Montana for those thunderstorms here as we head into Tuesday afternoon. But during the overnight, watch for thunderstorms to kind of ignite along that front. Now, this would be that eastern area that we're watching for maybe a strong storm or two across parts of eastern and South Dakota into Minnesota. This flares up during the overnight. Here you see that kind of squall line taking shape across parts of Minnesota, maybe into northern Iowa during the early morning hours now on Wednesday. The area of low pressure right here, that front extending off to the south is what we're seeing happen right now as we head into Wednesday morning. Watch those thunderstorms begin to weaken. And then as we head into Wednesday evening, we should be watching for another area of thunderstorms to develop along that front wherever it sits here, likely across portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and back into the central plains. So as we talk about the afternoon here, we'll be looking for Tuesday night and then Wednesday evening, watching for thunderstorms to develop along that frontal boundary right in this region. Looking at the total accumulated precipitation from the high-resolution NAM model, we'll see that here, the frontal precipitation across parts of the central plains, and this is just going to continue to central plains into the upper Midwest, I should say, to sink off to the south. We'll look at some longer rain pictures here in just a moment, but you'll see those showers and storms then flaring up across parts of the central plains into the eastern Corn Belt, perhaps, as we head into the weekend and early next week. So the next 5 days of precipitation from the National Blended Model, again, this would take us through Saturday at 7 p.m., keeping the precipitation across the northern plains into the upper Midwest. Watching this area of low pressure slowly making its way up from the Texas, the Gulf of Mexico coast. Watch what happens when I change this from the 5-day precipitation forecast to the 10-day precipitation forecast, and specifically right in this area. Boom. As we talk about the end of the weekend into early next week, this frontal boundary is expected to stall out across this region. We'll watch for several rounds of showers and storms across this region, and perhaps some pockets of significant rainfall across parts of northeast Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, into Missouri and Illinois. Now, you're seeing some bright yellow colors, and your eyes are probably jumping up to the 6 to 10 inch precipitation there. I have question marks on that one. Probably not talking about widespread 6 to 10 inch rainfall here. If we do, we certainly will be talking about it significantly in the forecast to come later in this week. But I do think that we're onto something here with this pocket of more heavy rainfall from Kansas into Illinois as we get into the weekend. Here's how this happens. So now we'll play out the National Blended Model. We'll take it through, we're through Thursday now, watching these showers and storms from the upper Midwest into parts of the Central Plains. You can kind of follow this area of low pressure now up from the Texas coast, merging with that front as it drapes across the Corn Belt. And this is as we get into Sunday now. If you look at the time frame up here, now we're starting to stack up some precipitation from Kansas into Illinois during this Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, perhaps even into Wednesday time frame. It's going to be the end of the weekend into early next week that we may watch for some significant precipitation again from Kansas into Illinois. But really a big chunk of the Corn Belt getting a drink here over the next 10 days, quite dry as you look off to the east. Looking at the jet stream pattern now as we head into next week and beyond, we'll take this back to Tuesday. Again, that trough in the west, the ridge in the east, taking it into the weekend. Watching this area of low pressure, this trough kind of digging in the west coast. This is what's going to kind of aid in the upper level support for that significant precipitation, perhaps from Kansas into Illinois. It's this trough swinging through here. Now you're seeing it make its way across. What happens as we get into early next week, though? We watch ridging overall kind of take control again. So while we're going to see things moderate a little bit of a shot of cooler air as we head into the weekend into early next week, not watching for any unseasonably cool temperatures making their way in. It's just going to knock us down, 10 degrees or so back to where we maybe should be at this time of year. So once again, watching the GFS model, we'll just take this out into next week, watching over the next couple of days for showers and storms to be flaring up along this frontal boundary across parts of the upper Midwest into the northern plains. As we get into Thursday and Friday, this front kind of making its way out to the south. Here's that next area of low pressure developing across the central plains as we get into Friday. And it's this one that kind of lifts off to the north. We see the frontal boundary stall across Kansas into Illinois. And then as we head into the weekend here, we're getting into Saturday. Now you're seeing things really ramp up right across that region. The GFS keeping this front kind of stalled across the region as we head into early next week. And that aligns with the National Blended Model. Of course, the GFS taken into account there, but really looking like maybe a storm system or two tracking along this corridor, keeping things active here as we head into the early to mid part of next week. So really something we'll be talking about probably even more in depth as we get into Thursday and Friday if this continues to be a theme that we're seeing here late this weekend into early next week. Looking at the GFS total accumulated precipitation, we'll just play this out. We're into next weekend now, getting into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and there you're seeing it really stack up across this region right here. So now looking at the temperature pattern, I'll just kind of play it out and you'll watch this warmth really sitting here as we head into the weekend. But then even as this shot, there it is, comes in at the end of the week. As we take this out, we'll pause it. Let me get to the end of the loop here. Going through the weekend now, this frontal boundary comes through. We're seeing all kinds of showers and storms right at this point from Kansas into Illinois. But on the backside there, even as we look at Tuesday of next week, still seeing things warmer overall across the entire Corn Belt. Your high temperatures for the next 5 days, very summer-like. 90s all the way in the Dakotas here for the day on Tuesday. Slightly cooler as we head into the day on Wednesday, watching this front kind of slowly make its way through the area. Friday, mid-80s from the central Corn Belt off to the south. Lower 80s, and then 70s off to the north. And then as we head into Saturday, going to be starting to cool off on the backside of the storm system. Highs in the 60s across the Dakotas into northern Minnesota on Saturday, but still quite warm as you head off to the south. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I will be back with your next Corn Belt regional forecast on Friday morning. Have a great day.